First of all, I want to express thanks for everyone that on the team that got this together, and I hope it does continue. This is awesome. So first of all, I want to say I am not a politician. A few years ago, I dissected the words politic, poly, many, tick, bloodsuckers. So I do not want to be in that category. Faith, family, and hard work are my foundation. I was born and raised in Littleton. My dad, Carrie Gendreau, opened a service station when he and Mom first got married in 1959. There had been 5 previous owners, all had failed. He later went on to open a real estate office and owned and operated that for over 54 years. He is my inspiration. We lost Dad this past January. Most of you know him, Gerald Wynn. He is my inspiration. He was Littleton's town moderator for 56 years and the school moderator for 25 years. And that is just the tip of the iceberg of the things that he did for the town, for the region, for the North Country. So he is my inspiration. Mom was a stay-at-home mom until my siblings and I got into high school. And then she joined Dad in real estate. It was sometimes good, and sometimes not so good. And then together, they taught us about the importance of faith. I used to tell people I had a drug problem when I was little. I was drugged to church all the time. So I am very, very grateful for that basis of the foundation. After graduating Littleton High School, I went on to get my undergraduate degree in South Carolina. I came back to Littleton, got married, and raised my daughter. 20 years ago, I earned my master's degree. I became involved with my local chamber, serving for several years as president for a couple of those years. I taught at Granite State College for 21 years, and at White Mountain Community College for about 8 years. We homeschooled our daughter in high school, and it was then when we opened a business on Main Street, Littleton. Many of you know it as Emma and Company Consignment Boutique. She told me, she said, I don't want to just learn about business, I want to do one. It is still in existence after 13 years. We did sell it in January of 2020. I have served on several boards. I'm currently in my 5th year on the Littleton Select Board. I've served on the Planning Board. I'm serving as a director on Wisville Guarantee Savings Bank and Community Financial Services Board. My husband Bill and I are still small business owners.
There are some allegations that the tax that Edith just discussed was an income tax, or labeled such by some, and there are allegations that signs have been placed that Edith voted for an income tax. Can you address, is that true, not true? And Carrie, why don't you go first?
First of all, I didn't put the signs up. And, well, in fact, yesterday I got a call said that, and I was accused of stealing Edith's signs. So I would never do that. And I know that Edith has a heart for the North Country, and I know that she loves the people here and wants the best for the people. So I can't speak to that, what's true, what's not true.
Thank you. We have some questions for both of you here regarding child gender issue and gender identity, and the House Bill 1431 are kind of the same thing, the Parents' Rights Bill. The Parents' Rights Bill narrowly failed to pass the House. It would have expanded parents' oversight over their kids' curriculum and activities, and would have expanded parents' abilities to sue teachers and others. Could you talk about House Bill 1431 and include the topic if a teenager or child has an issue with a gender identity or want to be transgender? Do you think parents have a right to know this issue? And
I agree that parents have every right to know what is going on in their children's education, in their life, but I would also say it's a parental guardian. Some parents are not raising their children, guardians are. So I would probably add that to it. As far as gender, transgenders or gender change, I know that, now I'm going to be very bold here, I know it's not right. I know that there are certain genders that have dysphoria, that is a fact. But to say that I would support a girl becoming a man, I can't do it. I can't support it.
Thank you. Let's move on to a question. It appears a couple places, and we already talked about it a little bit, but let's talk about the state income tax and sales tax and the pledge. And if elected to the Senate, would you subscribe to the pledge of no broad-based taxes for New Hampshire residents, income or sales tax? Carrie?
Yes, I've already signed the pledge. I will not support any type of sales tax or income tax.
Moving on, let's talk about Casella and the Bethlehem landfill and proposed one in Dalton. Have you or would you accept a donation or any help from Casella or any other solid waste company? And what is your opinion of the proposed landfill in Dalton? And let me just add a little bit here. There was a question that said, Carrie, you supported the Casella landfill expansion at one time. Carrie, why don't you go first and address it?
Sure, let me address this first. Back 2-3 years ago at the select board meeting, we were asked to support the landfill expansion. At that point, it was like at the 11th hour. So we did, myself included, as far as the select board, we did support that expansion. As far as accepting any money from Casella, I would invite any of you to go on the New Hampshire site, newhampshire.gov, and you can look up my expenditures, you can look up who's donated to my campaign. Everything has to be spelled out. I will share a little bit more with you. One of the things that my dad taught me is that you always look at both sides. I see it a little differently. No matter how flat you squish a pancake, it still has two sides. So my thought was, yes, I saw the HB 1454, and it's absolutely no condemnation to Edith or to Aaron. I think it was well written. I just found in doing a little bit more research myself that there might be some holes in it.
Time. Thank you. Thank you. There's been some questions about the Free State Project. I don't know what the Free State Project is, but the question is, what do you know about the Free State Project? And are you a supporter or critic? And Edith, you go first.
I really don't know enough about it to speak to it, so I'm going to pass.
Thank you. New Hampshire, like all around the country, has experienced significant inflation and increased prices, and especially fuel costs. New Hampshire, a lot of us heat with fuel oil, and that has more than doubled this year. What can the Senate do to address high prices and especially high fuel costs and heating costs for this winter? Carrie?
Right now there is a program available, and I believe it's in each town office. So people with limited means can go in and apply for it. And I'm not sure exactly of all the details, but I know it has already started as far as with provision. If it gets really bad, I mean, people are saying we could see upwards to $9 a gallon for oil. At that point, I don't know. I don't know what else we can do.
Thank you. Thank you. A number of questions deal with separation of church and state. And could you address the separation of church and state and how faith may or may not play a role in decisions you might make in your office, and perhaps address the balancing the separation of church and state with the Judeo-Christian foundation of our country. Karen.
I definitely support church and state. The whole idea was that the government did not want one particular religion. That's really the basis of separating church and state. This question probably was more directed for me because I was the one that introduced prayer to the select board in Littleton. And the reason why I did is because I was pleasantly surprised when I saw it at the state senate session. Gentlemen got up and prayed for the senators. And then it's also at the House. There's also prayer for the Governor's Council. So, you know, our founding fathers of this country, before every meeting, they prayed. Not only did they pray, but they knelt and prayed. So if we don't believe that God is a part of our country still, then maybe we ought to get rid of our money that says, "In God we trust."
Thank you. We were given a number of yes and no questions, and let me just go down these. I guess we'll start with you, Carrie. Do you support women's rights?
Jim, I'm not going to go through this, and as I was listening to the other...
It's just yes and no, and you can just decline, that's fine.
I will decline all of it.
All of those, okay. Carrie, back to you if you want to make any comment on any of those.
Well, just the first one.
No comment.
Let me tell you how
just if she wants to answer yes or no to any of those, I think it's fair.
The reason why I say it's a trap, because I do believe in women's rights. We have the right to vote, we have the right to work, we have the right to many things.
It's not fair to have...
These were yes or no questions.
Yeah, we have to stick...
How do you feel about ATVs on hiking and bike trails? Harry?
I think the whole trail system is a huge part of New Hampshire, especially the North Country. A lot of businesses, a lot of areas make a lot of money with that, and it's an excellent connector system. I know it was alluded to earlier about in Littleton. Unfortunately, we had lost part of that control because of the state. They ripped up the railroad ties, and we are no longer able to use that one section. So we're trying to work around that. And it's unfortunate, but during that railroad section, they want to keep all motorized vehicles off, which that's good, because then bikers or those that want to ride their bike, those that want to walk, it gives them that opportunity to do that. But the trail system, ATVs, snowmobile trails, I believe it's a huge part of the economy, especially in the North Country.
Edith. Thank you. Next question. This past June, Governor Sununu signed House Bill 178 prohibiting the state from enforcing any federal statute, regulation, or presidential executive order that restricts or regulates the right of people to keep and bear arms. Do you support this bill? Carrie?
I definitely support the Second Amendment. I believe we have the right to bear arms. I will say that clearly with sadness, though, as there was another shooting in Missouri, St. Louis, Missouri yesterday. But it's not the guns, it's mental health.
Would you support or oppose a New Hampshire container deposit, a bottle bill? I believe there's one in Maine, right? Is there one in Vermont?
Yeah.
Maine and Vermont. So, Carrie, go ahead.
Quite honestly, I'd have to look into that a little bit more. I mean, at first blush, I would say it might be a good idea. It would help out with recycling, but I would have to look into that more. It depends on how it was written.
Edith, thank you. Do you support or oppose the Lizzie Station project atop Mount Washington? And I'm not clear on this. Is Lizzie Station, was that the hotel below the summit, or is Lizzie Station the latest proposal to have the sleeper cars on top? Carrie, you can go first.
Yeah, the Lizzie Station, first of all, I'm going to say that we're very fortunate in this area to have folks like the Presby family who invest in our community. They're extremely creative, and they're always looking for ways to expand not only their businesses, but also for the area. So I feel we should be very blessed that we have someone like Wayne Presby, who is I don't think he sleeps. So he's constantly coming up with awesome ideas. So we certainly don't want our natural resources destroyed, but I would, depending on what he does, I think I would support that.
Thank you. And last question, then we'll go to your summary. Will you, or how will you work to lower the tensions around politics if you win? Thank you. Carrie?
I think kindness and compassion, and it goes a long way. And that's how I'd like to think that I live my life.
Thank you. And now we'll do the 2-minute closing statements, and I guess Carrie, you were first with the introduction, so Edith, you can be first with the closing.
I don't want to be a Debbie Downer, but I want to recap some of the things we're going through right now as a country. 70% of the voters think this country is headed in the wrong direction. Inflation is at a 40-year high. Our open border policy has allowed over 3 million immigrants into the U.S. in the past 3 years. And I was talking to a gentleman up in Pittsburgh, and it's coming over from Canada. So it's not like we're looking at the southern border, it's in our district. Serious crime is on the increase. We have gone from energy independence to energy dependence. The stock market is down 25% since Biden took office, which is reducing our 401ks. Talked to several people that are having to delay their retirement because of it. The average price of gas, I don't even have to share that with you. We have a staffing and an employee shortage. We have a housing shortage. Small businesses are suffering. The family is unraveling. Today's youth are more lonely than ever, and that's a fact. We need to support parental rights. Education, not all children learn the same way. And the big issue is, what are they being taught? You know, we took the Bibles out of the schools in 1963. Prayer stopped soon after, and I don't even know if the Pledge of Allegiance is still being said. Mental health issues and more substance abuse, increase in needless shootings. This is why I care, and I want to advocate for my fellow neighbors here in the North Country. I care about the people in the North Country and all they represent. Thank you again, and please vote for me on November 8th.